Hello, you beautiful people out there, whoever you are, wherever you are. My name is Victor, welcome to Spain, and I hope you're all doing well out there. I hope you're all having a positive, transformative experience in this pandemic, the year of the pandemic. Maybe some of you out there having a tough one, a lot of you out there having a tough one right now. I know what you're going through. I've been out of work now for 8-9 months, looking for a job here in Spain. I got a job in a school for 5 months, assistant teacher. Didn't really work out, and since then I've been kind of just floating about, man, not knowing what the hell to do with my life, really, to be honest. I tried starting a website. I found it tougher than I thought. And then I thought, let's do a little YouTube channel and just go on there and just share my thoughts and feelings and what's going on here. I mean, I first started waking up, to how the world really works back in 2002, about 4 or 5 months after 9/11. September 11, 2001, the day that lived in infamy. The world changed. The world changed dramatically after 9/11, and a lot of people had all sorts of different experiences of awakening after the dreadful day. And in my personal experience, I lived in London at the time. When 9/11 happened, I believed, the mainstream narrative. I believed the politicians. I believed my friends, my family, everyone around me, my work colleagues. I believed everyone. I believed the system. I just believed it. Yeah, it was exactly what they told us. And, everyone has a right to an opinion. That was my opinion. But then I started reading some books that kind of just blew my mind open. Like, for example, Alice in Wonderland, the World Trade Center disaster by David Icke. Alex Jones, I was listening to him back in 2002, and it opened my eyes. I saw the world in a different way. And I went on my life, though. I went about my life. I went travelling, I became a scuba diving instructor, I tried new things, I tried different things. Because that's what life's about, in my humble opinion, to have different experiences. So that with the day that we do pass away, at least we can pass away with some good memories. And I've got some good memories, some bad memories. I had my issues, I've fallen out with family, I've had arguments with people, physical altercations, things that could have been avoided, but we all have our faults. And it's time right now, 2020 is the year to really open up, to really go within and open up your mind and to see the world in a completely different way, because life has changed. It's like, believe it or not, life has changed. I keep hearing that they want to open everything up again and go back to normal. But I think if you've got a brain, you can pretty much see that life isn't going to go back to normal anytime soon. Okay? I don't think anything's going to go back to normal. Okay? The world has changed. Yeah? Like, at the end of World War II, the world changed. Yeah? The world changed. Massively. Right? We can all agree with that. And then the decades went by. Events occurred. Situations happened, wars, civil unrest. I was born in 1973, so I'm a child of the 80s, and I grew up in the 80s in London and just had a kind of just an ordinary life until 9/11, September 11th, 2001, the day that lived in infamy. The second day, really, if you think that Pearl Harbor was the first day that lived in infamy. But it was the inevitable event in many respects. Let me give you an example. It was the inevitable event because, believe it or not, I mean, everyone's got their opinion. In my opinion, all the studying and research I've done throughout the years, for many years, since 2002, the American military machine is the Don. It's the number one Don right now, okay? No other country spends more money than America on military. So, you know, they have their reasons. And one of those reasons, as an empire, you know, as an empire, you know, like Rome or something like that, they want to, you know, conquer lands and resources. And Iraq was just another one of those places, wasn't it? Because of the oil, and we all know that. And big changes occurred after 2001. You know, the Patriot Act and travel just completely changed, and people's attitudes. And I don't think much kind of changed in a positive way after that. It was all negative, really, if you think about it, because, you know, all the wars and the trillions of dollars spent. So nothing much changed, because human mind, human consciousness, in my opinion, I'm not an expert and I'm not a scientist, I'm just, you know, I'm just a geezer, just living through life, having experiences, going through a pandemic. So I think that after 9/11, nothing changed. We didn't stop, you know, we didn't change the way we think. And then 2008 and 2009, financial crash occurred. Big event as well. Nothing changed, we carried on. And here we are in 2020. This crisis is far worse than 2008 crash, in my opinion. Far worse than 9/11 because of the economy. The economy has collapsed massively these last couple of months. Massively. So, what's the point of this video? The point of this video is, right, that we need some drastic, revolutionary, radical ideas to get us into a new world. Because what's going to happen with all those people that are out of work? What's going to happen to us all? Millions of people looking for work. We need some drastic changes. And I came across this guy, okay, this man. His name is Jose Arguelles, PhD, okay, American alternative researcher. He was from Oregon. I think he lived there. He passed away in 2011, but he spent 40 odd years studying the Mayan civilization. He spent decades, right? Decades studying this incredible civilization and their mathematics, their calendar, the way they saw, the way they interpreted and perceived time, right? And he studied this stuff for decades, and he knows his stuff. And he wrote a book, loads of books, and one of them is called The Mind Factor. Another one's called Time in the Technosphere. I've spoken about this in a previous video. Time in the Technosphere and the Law of Time in Human Affairs. But the point is, right, that he offers an incredible solution, a revolutionary, radical solution to the human problem, right? And the fact that humanity can't seem to deal with serious crises, right? That we tend to rely on corrupt politicians too much, right? I mean, you know, I'll just go on what I've researched since 2002. You know, all the books, all the articles I've read since 2002. Understanding that we are all eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. That is it. And we're having a human experience, and we collectively have the power to transform this human experience. But there's only one way. There's only one way that it can happen, and that is the World 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement. Right, bit of a mouthful there, right? That's an organisation or a group that Jose Arguelles put together in order to petition the United Nations and the Vatican to really go into the calendar reform path, to change the global timing standard, right? The calendar reform movement started in 1931 at the League of Nations. The League of Nations at that time, you can look at this up, I don't have any editing skills. I tried, but I had problems with my computer and my phone, and so I'll just put this video together without any editing whatsoever. So this is just coming from my heart, man. Calendar reform, the calendar reform movement, right? We live in Western world, the dominating economy on the planet, right? The Federal Reserve, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Bank of International Settlements, etc., etc. They live, right? They work, they function according to the calendar, right? The Gregorian calendar, okay? It's the dominating calendar on the planet right now, right? There are thousands of other calendars across the planet. Many different cultures right now have their calendars. We all know that. Everyone knows that. Okay? Unfortunately though, right? According to Jose Arguelles, right? The calendar that we use are not accurate according to natural law, natural time. Okay? Natural time, the natural processes, the natural cycles. We live, our society, Western society, okay? We live according to a 12-month calendar, right? Okay, 12 months in a year, right? And each month has a certain amount of days. 30, 31. Right? It goes like that, doesn't it? 30, 31, and then, you know, February's got 28, April's got 30, May's got, I think, 31. See, I lose track. I lose track of this 12-month calendar that we use, right? And people think it's just a calendar, but it's not. Yeah, we're completely and utterly unaware that our perception of time comes from the calendar. And what does calendar mean? It's from the Roman calens, which is account book. And they created this because they wanted to document, you know, any debts that were due at the first of the month, right? And it would go down into the account book, which is the calends. So it's all about money. It's all about paying the bills. It's all about doing your hours at work or whatever and paying those bills every month. So we live according to an irregular, because every month is 30, 31, 28, you get kind of lost. Well, how many days in the month this month? How many days in that month? Right? So there's already a macro organizing principle right there in the calendar, programmed from thousands of years, right? Since the Babylonians, the Sumerians, you know, invented, you know, divided the circle, you know, decided to put 12 months, etc. Right from the start. And we've been programmed according to time. Time is money. Time is of the essence. Time is running out. But time is not what we think it is. So it's wrong. Our perception of time is wrong. It's incorrect. So we cannot continue to live the way we do, right? And expect this civilization to go on forever. I mean, it's not. And this pandemic is showing, right, what can happen to a society that is run or held together, you know, just like a house of cards, right? a house on sand. Okay, it's not stable. As soon as a crisis comes along, that's it. The pressure starts showing. So we need to change our perception of time. We need to change the way we perceive time, because time is not money. Time is not money. Time is art. Nature is art. It's a work of art. We're here as a work of art. We're here to experience the earth as a work of art, right? And time is money is not a work of art. It's not natural. It's not natural. It's not how the Mayans lived, or the ancient civilizations or cultures, tribes around the world, ancient tribes, just, even in the Amazon or whatever. They didn't have a clock. They didn't have a fucking calendar. Pardon my French. Get emotional sometimes. They don't have a calendar. They didn't have a calendar hanging on their wall. They didn't have a watch, a clock hanging on there, on their wrist. They lived according to natural cycles of time. And what we need to do as a modern civilization is consciously come together, think outside the box, make some radical changes, make some incredibly radical changes. And that is, number one priority, to change our perception of time, to see time as art, to see preserving the biosphere and the environment and creating a resource-based system that prioritizes the development, the preservation of nature, of the biosphere. And calendar reform would help us organize society in a completely different way. So instead of 12 months, there would be 13 months. Obviously, for Christians, for the Western world, what would happen to Christmas? What would happen to Easter? You'd have 13 months, right, in 1 year, okay? 13 months instead of 12, and each month would have 28 days. Perfect harmony, perfect perpetual motion there forward, where every single month is exactly the same days, and you would reorganize society in a completely different way. Who right now, and all the pundits, all the YouTube people, everyone, I've just started on YouTube. I mean, I started a couple of months ago, but I gave up on there because I was having technical problems, and then I've decided to come back because the pandemic has inspired me to express my opinions. Anyway, so calendar reform, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about calendar reform. If anyone out there knows or is aware of calendar reform, the 13-month, 28-day calendar, in perfect harmony with the female biological processes, a female-based calendar, 13 months, 28 days. Not 12 months, 30 here, 31 there, totally irregular, totally nonsensical, just doesn't make sense. 12 months, give me a laugh. 13 months. So I'm going to be right here, right now, on YouTube, promoting. I've just started YouTube, don't have many views, 1 or 2, I don't care. I'm out there and I'm going to be promoting calendar reform. I'm going to get in contact with the Foundation for the Law of Time. Okay, the Foundation for the Law of Time. And I'm going to make some donations and get in touch with them. And we need to promote calendar reform. We need to think radically, think completely different, think outside the box. And that's what humanity needs to do on a collective level. Think outside the box. How are we going to change society? How are people expected to be locked down in their apartments in the major cities for months and months on end, and just expect everything to, I know there's a highly infectious virus killing people, so obviously you've got to take that into consideration. But surely, if we all come together, we could really, come up with some really good solutions to change the society, right? That nobody should go hungry. Nobody should go hungry. And calendar reform is a way of transforming human consciousness to think outside the box, to reorganize the system. Obviously, there's going to be some powerful people that don't want that to happen. That's, that's normal, that's natural. Powerful people have their interests, and calendar reform is not going to be one of them. But we people, we multitude, have the power, and if we demand things outright, we can change the world incredibly. So I'm going to say again, calendar reform is the way forward. Okay, 13 months, 28 days in each month, perfect harmony with the higher realms, solar, lunar, astronomical harmony, taking into account one extra day. It will be 364 days plus 1 day, 365, which will be celebrated as a day out of time, a free day, completely free, no work, no nothing, just a free day in celebration of Mother Nature, a Mother Nature centric society where the biosphere comes first, to protect the biosphere. It's no coincidence, this is synchronicity. This is the synchronic order, the fourth dimension. We could move into the fourth dimension collectively by adapting a more natural calendar, a calendar that harmonizes with nature, the natural processes, the female menstruation cycle. You can't get any more natural than that. A more female-based calendar, which would automatically restructure the human consciousness, the human mind. Can you imagine having a 13-month calendar on your wall instead of 12? 13 months, and every single month is exactly the same amount. 28, 28, 28, 28, 28. It would be transformative. I'm telling you, it would be transformative. It makes perfect sense to me, personally. I'm probably going to be talking to myself here again, but it's okay, because it is transformative. It is transformative. The calendar reform. Mahatma Gandhi supported calendar reform back in the early 30s, because Mahatma Gandhi knew about the natural processes, the natural cycles, the great cycles of time. The great cycles of time. It will transform human consciousness overnight. And we are going through a massive transformative event. So if there's any time for calendar reform to happen, it would be during an event like this. But obviously at the moment, because we're only a couple of months in, we're in the first wave, right? We're not going to see calendar reform anywhere. But bit by bit, you're already seeing universal basic income being spoken about. The Pope just mentioned it, Pope Francis, that people should get, the poor should get a universal basic income. We're hearing things like, debt jubilee, having a debt jubilee, stuff like that, right? So, in times of crisis, big things happen. Like at the end of World War II, you had the big meetings with all these powerful leaders after the war. Society changed. Big things have to happen. Big changes have to occur. Calendar reform, change the calendar, the global timing standards, how we perceive time, change it immediately by changing the calendar to a natural process, a natural cycle. Look it up, man. Just look it up. Don't trust what I say. You might be thinking I'm some muppet that doesn't know what he's talking about. I've done years of research. I've read thousands of books, all sorts of books. Reality transurfing, The Biggest Secret, all these, The Secret, all these weird books, Time in the Technosphere, talking about time, the perceptions of time, books about spirituality, books about politics, you know, official books, alternative books, all sorts. So you just got to just do your research and look it up. Calendar reform, the foundation for the law of time, the World 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement. Look them up. We need some radical changes. We need a radical revolution, a revolution of time, a revolution of the mind, because time and the mind are connected as one, and time is synchronicity. It is of the synchronic order. Time is of the fourth dimension, pure instantaneous synchronization, a totally transformative way of thinking, of correcting and fixing this broken system that we live in, where millions of people are now out of work. How the hell am I going to find a job now in Spain? I'm living in Spain and I'm out of work. How am I going to find a job? Hey, in this time of crisis? Well, I'll go within, I'll meditate, I'll contemplate things that the average person wouldn't think about because they're watching Fox or CNN or BBC or Alex Jones or whoever. I get in pieces of information, and if it resonates with me, I go with it. And I go with it and it makes me feel good. And okay, I'm not out of work right now. I'm out of work right now. It's okay. Incredible things are coming. Millions of people have to rethink their beliefs and what they perceive to be true or not. So I just want to go on record, I don't care who's watching or who isn't, that we need a revolution of time to fix this broken system. We need to change the calendar. We need calendar reform. Change time, change our perception of time. 13 months, 28 days, each month, perfect harmony, in perpetuity, that can go on forever, because it's natural time. The natural female menstruation cycles in harmony, a calendar. Can you imagine a calendar that harmonizes with the female menstruation cycle? Biological cycles of the female. It would be a different experience. Put it that way. It would be a different experience. So, calendar reform. Let's put the information out there. Okay, we need to change this society forever. We cannot keep on going the old way. Okay, the old industrialized, mechanized, artificial system that prints money out of nowhere and then just spreads it into the system, and the debt increases, and now the debt is trillions of dollars, and you know, we can't go on like this. It can't go on like this, you know. I have a 15-year-old daughter, you know, and she's unable to graduate this summer. She's unable to graduate. They're not graduating, right? She was going to graduate 16 years old in November, and she was going to go out into college, and fuck knows what's going to happen now. Pardon my French. Sorry about saying that. Pardon my French. I don't know why. But anyway, habits. You know, I have my issues too. But we need some radical change, people. We need some seriously important changes, man. What solutions do you have? How can we transform this society? What are your opinions on this? I don't know if I'm going to get any comments here. You know, I don't care what your comment is, as long as it's a comment. Send it over. What do you think about calendar reform? You know, obviously the elites, you know, the Vatican are not going to change the calendar, are they? They're not going to go, all right, it's over. But, you know, with enough human pressure, who knows what can happen. But the point is we need some drastic changes. Otherwise we're going down as a civilization, as a society, as a species. You know, there's no coincidence that while we've been in lockdown, nature has regenerated. There are places where, you know, they haven't seen the mountains, like in India. They haven't seen the mountains, the Himalayas, for decades. So anyway, people, like, it's starting to rain, so I'm going to leave you to it. And think about it. Do your own research. You know, I enjoy reading. So let's share the ideas out there. Love you all. Keep it going.